Most of us believe in the God of the heavens, but not all of us believe in the God of the Bible. And as many as believe in the God of the Bible, every one of us has his own disposition and perception of who God is and what he wants us to be. As a result, there are a lot of doctrines, dogmas, and interpretation of Scripture. Believers Forum Media, therefore, is being created so that we can find mutual agreement and mutual truth concerning our faith and concerning our living God.
Dumelang avuxeni, hello. Amfushela hinkwenu. Namuntlha yihlangene nakambe Believers Forum Media wa swi tiva ku swi famba njhani. Namuntlha guest ya hina Pastor Kwebu na another guest of ours Pastor Stay. So Xikwembu xi rhandze ngopfu namuntlha swa ku loko yi fikela hi tekta dyondzeni wa tiva na wena. Last time we were here, previous episode, it was all fire. It was all intel, information that will take you from one level to another dimension. So we bless God that we are here today. My name is Ishmael Mtombeni, and this is Believers Forum Media, where we know the truth shall be definitely be told. Mr. Kweb.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to say much about you, but I'm going to afford you the privilege to introduce yourself. Who is Pastor Kweb?
All right. Ayabong and Pastor Kwebu is a servant of God, preacher of the gospel, and a simple guy, a general friend with the plan to share the word of God or the gospel of God with everyone, regardless of race, culture, age, gender. I am a friend of all.
Wow. A friend of all. There you have it.
Yes.
Pastor Stay. Or rather, should I say Stembis?
Anyone is fine.
Yes, our viewers are anxiously waiting to know who is Pastor Stay.
I would like to say hi to all the viewers. Pastor Stay, you are talking about a man who really loves God, a man who is very enthusiastic about life and who loves working a lot. I'm a teacher at the moment, a teacher at the school, teaching maths, and I'm also a teacher at the church, where I attend under Revelation of God's Love Ministries, serving under Apostle Sbia here in Zolisha. So, I love working with the youth, and that's basically it.
Wow. Gusa tobaliti kusho kwama 2000. Glory be to Jesus.
Yes.
I'm grateful and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us here today. You are both saying, we would say, you are servants of God.
Yes.
And you are ministers of the word, particularly using the term gospel. You preach the gospel.
That's
and
correct.
you also, Pastor Kwebu, we would see to upon every race, gender, and everything, you advocate for the gospel of God.
Yes.
If you don't mind me asking, what can you say, or rather, how can you define the gospel? What is the gospel according to you?
Well, I won't say according to me, but I would say what the gospel actually is. The word gospel means good news. And we preach the good news of Jesus Christ. That after the fall of man, when man was separated from God through sin, we thank God that Jesus can bring us back. That is the good news. That man needs to labor not. It doesn't matter what background you come from, Jesus can bring you back to God. So that is the good news that we preach.
The gospel.
We also call it the grace of Jesus. That it is the good news that we preach.
The gospel is the grace.
Yes.
Quite interesting. Let me just do a follow-up here. Because when you are saying that the gospel is the good news of God, from somebody who doesn't know what the good news of God is, what can you tell that person?
I'll tell them, for God so loved the world. For God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him will have everlasting life.
Right.
That is good news, considering that people have been hit by life, different kind of challenges that they've come from. Sometimes people find it even hard to forgive themselves from things that happened, things that they did out of their own decisions, things that they were influenced by other people to do. And people have they have a serious difficulty in accepting themselves and having themselves accepted by society as mere human beings, let alone as people who serve God. So it is good news that, you accept Jesus and your sins are remitted.
Right.
And God accepts you as you are. That is actually good news, because I, by nature, am a perfectionist, and I know how hard it is to try to achieve something and fail.
Right.
It can really kill you in every manner of speaking. But to know that you have been accounted for, you have been ulungselwe, let me say it that way. Bokuthi ulungselwe, you need not to labor, but you just accept Jesus and God will accept you.
Sure.
That is good news.
Talking about influence right there.
Yes.
We know that as Christians,
Yes.
or as the gospel believers, there is a certain element of influence to the society.
Yes.
Again, there's also a certain element of influence from society to the church.
Yes.
What is the substratum, the core of the influence that we should be having to the society? What is it that we should be having, the kind of level of influence that the church in its essence should be having on the society?
The Spirit of God.
Okay.
The Spirit of God. When we received Jesus, we were given the Spirit of God.
Right.
Who advocate, who lo bubula kanye na moya wethu. Give us the right to call God Father. That is the influence that we have. When Jesus says, "You are the light of the world," He meant through the Spirit. Through the Spirit, we are given light.
Sure.
Read the Bible in the book of John, chapter 1. It says that in Him there is light, and this light is life.
Yeah.
That the darkness cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
So the Spirit of God that we were given is the light that we project, is the influence that we have.
Right.
We are supposed to be people who set standards, patterns, and people learn from us because we learn from God.
Right.
That's why the Apostle Paul says, "Learn from me because I learn from Jesus."
Yeah.
That is the influence that we have.
You are talking about standards. You are talking about setting patterns, and I can
Yes.
see who Pastor Stay is anxiously waiting to say, "Hey, put me in, put me in there." Ukukhulunywa ngama standards, say, and we know, we would see as the church, we are having a certain standard. However, we are found in a position where the society now is setting standards for the church.
Yeah,
Is
that's
setting
true,
standards, patterns. Whenever there is a new song that is being played, the new genre now is amapiano. So Tina Besna ukwasa kwasa and all those things. Now the kind of dance that we see in the church is the same dance we see outside. The kind of dressing that we see at church is the same dressing we see outside. Can we safely say that society has somehow an influence that we are not well aware in the church?
Well, that's the truth. The influence that the church has, it's true. It has a huge influence and a huge impact in the church, because there's as a person who's also done psychology, there's always an emptiness inside each and every person that needs to be filled up, right? So if there's an emptiness that needs to be filled up, it's either going to be filled up by the church or filled up by the society, right? So what I'm trying to say with this is, when you look at the society on the outside, we've got a yearning as maybe young people or church people that are going to church, and we want to see the church very vibrant, and we want to see the church doing a lot of good things, and also attracting people on the outside. And when we see there's good things happening, or maybe we call them good things, like Amapiano and all of those things, because a lot of people goes to them. So we try by all means to attract, or not just attract, but sibize lezinto abazenza ngaphandle, right? And say, let them come into church, and then so that we can have an influence back to them as well. So you know, amanje bawafaka kuma keyboard and all of those things, and then we dance in the church, right? So the influence that the society has is rather somehow positive in a way, and at the same time is acting negatively. Maybe you said in the form of dressing, we've witnessed quite a lot of young people, more especially ladies, dressing in a very, very, very funny way, revealing and all of that, right? So some of them, they feel comfortable in that, but what we know the gospel to be, we know the gospel to be a place for everyone. Okay, you are dressed in a very funny way. Come. We allow you. We want you to come. Why do we want you to come? So that you can be transformed. Maybe you can experience the same thing that I experienced when I accepted Christ as a Lord and Savior. And then we say, come, so we can have an impact in you. So the church is not saying we are closing up people. Let you be perfect before you can come to church. But we're saying, you know what? As you are, come. And then maybe somehow you are going to encounter Christ in the same way we have encountered Christ, and then you will experience some change. So the influence is coming by people coming from outside and bringing this act of theirs, Amapiano and all of these things. Because I can tell you right now, I grew up in church. I don't know how to dance Amapiano, right? So if I don't know how to dance Amapiano, where are the pianos coming from? The people that are coming from outside, we preach to, they come in and then they dance. We entertain them for a purpose of thinking that they will change as time goes on.
Isn't that playing with fire? Like, dance with the devil so that you can win him. Can't there be an element somewhere there where we can safely say, the danger is because come as you are, right? Come as you are, and the Bible clearly says that be not befooled. Bad company corrupt good character, right?
Yeah.
So now, if we are inviting these people as they are, only to find that when they come in now, they want to change us to be like them, to a point like when they come in as masses and they are dressed with whatsoever they are dressed with, the language they choose to use, and then they say, no, you can't judge me for being the way that I am. And because you want to win them over to Christ, you also want to be like them. Like Paul says, I become like them, so to win them. But don't we see that there is also an element of losing who we are as Christians, losing Christian values, because we want to accommodate these guys to come in the church and fellowship with us.
Well, Mtombeni, they say practice makes perfect.
Right.
Practice makes perfect simply means that what you do over time, you perfect. What you do over time, you master.
Right.
So when somebody comes from outside, coming inside, they expect to find a certain content inside.
Right.
But if there's nothing inside, then they will fill the inside with what they come with from outside.
Sure.
The church is supposed to practice what was given to it through the Spirit of God, which is good conduct, good character, the standards that I was talking about. That would allow the church not to be influenced by anyone who comes inside, you know.
Right.
The gospel teaches us that if we can be moved by any wave or teaching that comes, then we are still babies. But we are not babies. We've been in the gospel for quite a while. So we should master what we have. The only way that the world can influence the church is if the church is weak. And my fellow pastor would know as a teacher, there's something called endosmosis and exosmosis. It depends what is more concentrated than the other.
Endos what?
Endosmosis exosmosis. That's how trees absorb water when you water them.
Oh,
They have more salt, salt and minerals that allows the water inside.
for this is more than the gospel. This is more endos. I'm telling you now. We are going natural science. We are going agric. Everything is here.
Yeah.
We have teachers here. We are not here to play. So everything, if you want to be learned, join.
Yeah.
Tell somebody to tell somebody that Pastor Kwebu is here. Pastor Stay is here.
Yeah.
Those matriculants and all those academics, they must tune in so that they can hear not only the gospel, but more than the gospel, because we serve a God of all things. Glory be to Jesus. Repeat that. Endos.
Yeah, endosmosis, exosmosis.
Aha.
Yeah. So what it says is, if you boil a potato and you put too much salt in the water,
Okay.
the potato is going to lose water, or it's going to lose substance, because the water is too concentrated. So if the church is not concentrated, then it loses substance. You see, we are being drained because we don't have substance. But if we had substance, then we would be able to win people over. That's why you find that we set our standards now according to what we see in the world. We sing as they do. We post on social media as they do.
Yes.
We speak as they do. We have the same catchphrases as they do. Trends. We do the trends that they do, to get likes on social media.
The church doesn't have a trend, nada.
There's no trend that comes from the church going to the world.
Sure.
But it has to be the other way around, because we are people of influence, and we have the living God, the Almighty, who's above all.
I hear you.
There's a lot of things that happen to corrupt the church, but we thank goodness for platforms like this that we can correct our mistakes.
I bless God. Mr. Stay, you can't keep still, but
when I was still at university, I found it very difficult to find a church that had the same, maybe let me say, the culture that we have from Nelspruit, Zwedische. Right. So I searched all over, and I was looking for a church that has got the same thing.
Right.
Same vibe, same songs that we're singing, that I can sing along with them, right? But I could not, right? In Stellenbosch. So I said, God, please help me find a place that it's going to be a place where I can worship you. So I went to this church. It's called Shofar. It's a multiracial church. It's got black people, all white people, every kind of a person. So the songs they sing there, they're kind of rock-like. When I got there the first time, I was like, this is not church.
Right.
I'm not used to this, right? But when I got in there, as a person coming from a different platform, now coming to this one, I realized the way they dance, the way they sing, the songs they sing, how it's conducted. And I was like, oh, it's how the rock culture has done things, and now they brought the rock culture in there. And when you read about them, how they started, they started with hymns, they started with all of this sort of stuff. But now adapting and coming into trying to be a church, but also winning the people on the outside, because the church has, it's not really a physical thing of saying, now that building is the church, right? Mm-hmm. We are the church. You as a person are the church. So by allowing a person coming in who is of a different platform, of a different culture, and coming into the church, I personally think, according to my own experience, when they see you, like Pastor Gary said, when they see you united, doing one thing of the Spirit, because it's all about the Spirit, doing one thing that is very, very, very filled with the Spirit, then the people will be changed. In other words, they will come with they are different. They will try and dance the way they dance, do whatever the way they do things, the way they dress. Because even the way that I used to dress was very, very different from the way they dress. But at the end of the day, I ended up adapting to the standard of Shofar, that when I came back, even my pastor could not recognize me and said, "How is that you?"
Sure.
But there was something that she saw, even if my dressing and everything had changed to fit to the standard that I was in now. But the substance, the person that I am spiritually, is I'm on another level where I went out here, I could not prophesy, but now when I come back, I am prophesying.
So now the church influenced you to being the kind of person that you were after leaving the church. You did not influence the church to be the kind of person that you were before entering the church.
Definitely, I did not.
Can we safely say, Pastor Kwe, Pastor Stay, we would see the desperation, therefore, of winning soul? Because the Great Commission says, go ye out.
Yes, definitely.
Make disciples.
Yes.
Make disciples. And the desperation, therefore, to make disciples has made us to compromise in terms of, you spoke about culture, in terms of the culture of Christianity, right? We have went out there and we could not find them in our state. And then we had to conform and be like them to win them. And when we have won them over to the other side, we are failing now to change even ourselves, to become what we were before we transformed to become like them.
I would say to become like them in order to win them is a wrong perspective. Mm-hmm. We should say we accommodate them,
right,
to win them, because
yes.
Changing to be like them would mean that doing the things that they do, living the life that they live.
Right.
But the correct manner is we accommodate them. Mm-hmm. In other words, we show acceptance to them as people, not what they are busy with. Sure. Because if we say that we change to be like them, then we mean that the church is a chameleon. It depends and then the church can adapt to the standards of the world.
Sure.
That's why Bible says, do not conform to the standards of this world, because it's not a new thing. That's why it's not a new thing. Right. It's an old thing. It comes from far. That's why you read books like the book of Judges. Even when Israel came out of Egypt, they came out of Egypt, but Egypt was still in them. That's why they were troublesome on the way.
Say that again. They came out of
Egypt. They came out of Egypt, but Egypt did not come out of them immediately, which means
take me out of the ghetto, but you cannot take the ghetto out of me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they were troublesome along the way. That's why we read the book of Judges, that every chance that they got, they went astray. And God handed them over to their enemies. And when they cry and they repent, God will,
right.
Years go by, they go back. That's why you read about a lot of judges who had to save them physically from what they themselves have put themselves into.
Right.
So it's not a new thing. That's why I do not conform glamour standards of this world. And Paul addresses issues in the church all the time. I hear now, why? Because leave is coming into the church, which is it's a wrong thing. And mind you that we also have there are prophecies that were said. Looking at the behavior of the church and the behavior of times. Prophecies that you would see as time goes by, we would see they have influence trying to corrupt the church. But maybe we'll speak about them some other time. These prophecies will try and corrupt the church, but if the church does not have a standard that they are rooted in, then they will be very easy to be influenced by any teaching that comes. For an example, manje television, social media, cell phones, people are watching things all the time, and what you feed yourself with, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yeah.
In the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Sure.
You see, so everything is going to become you.
Sure.
That's why we should give acceptance to people, but not become like them on trying to win them over.
I hear you, Pastor Stay. As a young man yourself. What can you say are the most serious issues with regards to being a young minister and wanting to fit into society?
Okay,
So I think it also goes back to what I said at first.
there's always a void inside of us.
Young people growing up.
So a void is a gap of saying it needs to be filled in.
Right.
You know,
First of all, it's a void of being loved. It's a void of being accepted. It's a void of feeling
having a sense of belonging to
something, right? So those are the things that affect us as young people growing up, as a young minister growing up, seeing young people dating. I saw it as something that is very good, right? And I wanted to have that so that I can have a sense of belonging and I can be accepted by
right? So I got into that and only to find out that, you know what, I wasn't ready for it, you know? As a result, I'm one of the people that got into some sort of a kind of a marriage and then I got separated at a very young age, right? So now there's always that void. The culture, the way we dress, I want to dress like them so that they can accept me the way I am, or I can fit with them. Because if I don't, it's one of those things that I'm like, you know, I'm all alone. Who's going to be with me? Who's going to be my friend? So those are the things that are coming into the church, and they are playing a huge role in the church in affecting us as young people and as young ministers.
Right. The pressure to fit in is the problem here.
Definitely.
Hence, we now open, Mfundisi says, accommodation. And then you sit with this person, yet you are not rooted yourself.
Yeah.
And then when they pour in whatever that they are pouring on you, technically you become them.
Yes.
One wise man says, show me your friends, I will show you, or rather I will tell you your future.
Yes.
So we need to, I feel that we need to be steadfast in terms of teaching and being grounded within the borders of the culture of the church, to say we accommodate them, but we don't lose who we are in the process. Because I feel, Mfundisi Gwangati, we have lost who we are in the process. If you don't mind sharing your perspective, what are the major factors that makes us to lose our sense of being as Christian?
We lack confidence in what we have.
Sure.
The church is not confident in being the church. How can young people be rooted if the elderly themselves are wavering? You hear what I'm saying? If you look at the way things are happening, some of them but we see it's falling in line with prophecy, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Prophecy shows the Roman Empire is going to try and stretch its arms again.
Sure.
And now we see, you know, a lot of pastors, they're trying to become Rome again.
Sure.
The standards that you see, you know, it shows that the church is not comfortable in being the church. Labadzala nabo, they adopt things from outside. It was not supposed to be so easy, you know, for the church to adopt things, to start calling themselves names. The titles that we have are Catholicism, I'm sorry to say. You know, the attires that we wear are Catholicism.
Sure.
And you see that the church is now adopting, preaching against them. Namuhla, we're going back to them. So how can our young, you know, be rooted if we ourselves are not rooted? So what makes us to lose character is that we don't have confidence in being the church. Until we start being confident in what we have, what God has given us, this problem will be ongoing.
Sure. Confidence. We as a church have lost confidence indeed. If we can go back there again, pick up the cross and gain confidence. I normally say we need to be in a position where persecution nangabe figure, just like the old apostles. Whether these things are coming or not, we will stand. Pastor Stay, just your final remarks.
Okay, my final remarks. I'm just recently working on a little bit of a piece that has to do with culture. That I have to soon do a presentation on culture of the church. it's become something that is very big, and people on outside are judging us and saying that we have left our culture as Africans, as people that we're belonging to another culture and adopted the Jewish culture. So just a little bit of a piece on that is, when Jesus came, he came and he introduced his own culture that was in contrast to the culture of the Jews. So even the Jews themselves did not accept him for who he was. For example, they had the culture of cleansing, washing their hands before doing something. A culture, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And we saw often, many times, Jesus broke those rules of theirs, those things that they used to do, right? They used to say about themselves. So now, even in the church, we've got many different cultures that are coming into the church. So I feel like we shouldn't judge people based on their culture, how they do things. But we should look to mediate, to see that, okay, as a young people or as different churches, we will have different cultures, we'll have different things to say, right? So, but now, going forward, we need to accept people, but knowing, as one of the, I think it was a prophet that I read, prophet, I think Elijah Masangwai from Swaziland. He said, I went to a certain place. There's a certain place I got in there wearing my suits to preach to them. Those people could not accept me. They looked at me like, who is this guy? Where is he coming from? And for them to accept me, I had to dress like them. I'm not going to say how he dressed, but he said I had to dress like them. And he said the next service that I had was a very powerful service because now I became one with them. And after they accepted Christ, that's when I taught them, okay, this is the way to do things. This is the way to do things. So there must be a way of introducing things, of accepting, knowing, okay, when I come, what do I say? What's the different thing that I'm going to bring in? But knowing that at the end, your end game, because it's all about the strategy, your end game is going to change everything. You're going to say, but since now you've done this, this is what needs to happen.
Thank you, sir. Say just in 2 seconds your closing remarks. Very powerful there.
Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might, because the lesson ego sendiwe inkosi.
Right.
So uma singakagcini enkosini le lesson ego kuyohlala ku-wavering, kuyohlala ku-affectwa ngokonke lokufika emva kwalokhu lesingiko.
Sure.
So kufanele ukuthi sicine kule lesingiko, sigcine evangelini, silidemonstrate, sisethe ama-standards nama-trends emhlabeni through evangeli, so that abantu balibone, balifunze. They should know how we sing, how we dance, how we live. Ukuze ukuthi bantu bafunde from us. It has to stop ukuthi thina sifunze from what we see outside. We are not chameleons. We are children of God. What we are is supernatural, is divine. That's why I say we should regain the confidence in the Lord. Ukuze ukuthi bantu babone elivangeli nebuhle balo nemandla alo.
I hear you. Viewers, you heard it all here. Believers Forum Media. There is a lot to say. But because of time, I want to appreciate our guests for today, Pastor Ste and Pastor Kwebu. This is Ishmael Mtombe.